Welcome to Fuzz Lab. Today I'm going to be talking about my do-it-yourself guitar synthesizer project. Now it's more of a hack than like a full-blown homemade polyphonic guitar synthesizer. The basis of this project is something called the Saxy Kazoo Synthomophone, and I found this unit in Goodwill for $350, or it was Salvation Army. It was like $350. These products were manufactured by this company for the Sharper Image catalog around 1995. So good luck finding one. Basically, at a dumpster near you. Now, the idea behind this contraption is there's a microphone over here, a speaker down here. You sing or hum into the mouthpiece, and it transmogrifies your voice into tuba, saxophone, or clarinet. It's got volume controls and then 3-octave range, so you can go real high with the clarinet or sax, all the way down with the tuba, which is nice. And then there's 3 rhythm background tracks with drum kit, piano, and like a bass, so you can get your jams on it too. Now, when I found the unit, immediately I thought guitar synth. Monophonic, of course, meaning only one note at a time. There's no chords. You can play a chord. The unit responds with flatulence simulation. Anyway, I get home, I put batteries in it, and I'm checking it out. And the thing is, it's an excellent toy. It functions well. It tracks very well, and just tons of fun. So I struggled with it. I really didn't want to, tear it apart. But it's been sitting here for over a year, so it's time. Anyway, I got home with it and I Googled it up, and I discovered a gentleman by the name of Captain Kazoo on YouTube. And if you're not familiar, I'm going to put the link up, and I urge you to go subscribe, check out his videos, and send him some love. Captain Kazoo, he's a very, very talented young man who happens to be a harmonica player. So he's got all kinds of really cool demo videos. Check out the music from Mars. All of his stuff is just top-notch. I really enjoyed his channel. And also he does do an excellent demonstration of a fully functioning, non-modified Saxy Synthomophone Kazoomatron. So yeah, check out Captain Kazoo. Back to my project here. I found that, surprise, surprise, a bunch of people had beat me to it. And one of the ideas that was just absolutely genius, I never would have thought of it, was the guy, what he did, he duct taped, key ingredient, mini amp, a little, like 2-3 inch speaker, mini guitar amp. He just duct taped that sucker right onto the mic, and there you go, there's your guitar synth. And it worked excellent. There's videos out there to prove it. Now, there was another gentleman who had went the extra mile, torn it all apart, and wired in his own circuitry to adapt the guitar signal to a microphone level, which is what this unit was designed for. And he found that using an LM386 based chip amplifier circuit, which would be the first thing I would think to try, it worked fine. It tracked as well as to be expected, but the issue was there was some sort of a modulation in the output, and he thought it was a desirable effect. He liked it. Now, when I approached this project, of course, I went and cried screaming for help on doityourselfstompboxes.com. That's a plug. And wonderful gentleman by the name of Earth Scum, thank you very much, had posted a diagram, which I will be posting later, and he said, I do this type of thing, and I build this little circuit with this chip, and I think it might work for you. And I was like, I don't know, I don't have the chip, and he doesn't have a Saxy, and what if it doesn't work? So I checked the guy out, and I looked at all of his posts, and he really knows what he's talking about. Me, I'm a goof, I'm an idiot. I have no clue what I'm doing. It's just throwing darts in the dark, blindfolded, paint by number, phoning it in. So I took his advice. I ended up, when I first experimented with it, I hooked up a little JFET buffer, like that was going to work, you know. It didn't work. And then I had this, this is an LM386 little amp that I took out of the pink guitar that's on the robot back there. And it's just a little utility amp that I use. Tried that, and sure enough, it worked. But that modulation was evident in the speaker. You could hear it quivering. And I thought, well, that's cool, but I'm gonna try this Earth Scum's recommendation. So I had ordered the CD4049 UBE chip, which is a hex. It's a CMOS hex buffered inverter. There's 6 of these buffer inverter chips in there. And how he had wired it up was like a buffer booster, kind of just a couple of resistors and a capacitor or 2 in there, a couple of 3 stages hooked up, and he suggested that that would work well to condition a guitar signal for things like pulse width modulation by Tim Escobedo, octave up or down circuits, anything where you need a stable, you know, even rudimentary guitar synthesizer. So this circuit is highly recommended. It did an excellent job. I really didn't modify it much. He had a suggestion that I could take, because there's 6 of these little amps inside this chip, and I was only using 3, I could use the other 3 to grab a copy of that clean, regular guitar sound and bring it around here, boost it up a little bit, and then combine it in later on after the whole party's over, mix it back in with the guitar synth, and I could have a little knob, and I could get, you know, well, I want all guitar synth or all guitar or halfway in between. And so the extra portions of that chip enabled me to be able to do that without adding any additional circuitry. So Earth Scum, he knows what he's talking about. Thank you very much. And now for the rest of the video, I'm going to be showing you some of the close-ups of the circuits that I have spread out on my desk here, and I'll explain a little bit of that, and then I'm going to do a quick audio demo so you can get an idea what it sounds like. Now keep in mind, I do have a chassis for this unit, and I'll probably will, you know, blow the thing up while I'm monkeying with it, so who knows, but there's a good chance that, you know, 5 to 10 years from now, when I finish this, there'll be another video. So enough of my yakking, let's boogie. What we're looking at here is the front end, or pitch tracker. Now, this is not my circuit design. A gentleman by the name of Earth Scum from Do It Yourself Stomp Boxes had saw my predicament and recommended. He sent the schematic out, and sure enough, it worked like a charm. Now, if you notice, it's not really space shuttle technology. There's like 8 or 9 resistors and 5 capacitors. This pot over here, that's my mix control. So it's got clean guitar or synth on these pins, and then the center pin is the output. So the guitar signal comes in right off the bat. There's a 1 mega ohm resistor tied to ground, series 10 nanofarad cap, and 100K resistor that the signal passes through before hitting stage 1, which is a 1 mega ohm resistor for the feedback loop. Tying stage 2 to stage 1 is a 22K resistor. Now, if you're going to utilize this instrument for bass, you'd use a 27K, or you could put them on a switch and then have it either or. Stage 2 does not use a feedback resistor. Instead, a 10 nanofarad cap. The connector between 2 and 3 is another 10K resistor, as opposing to 22 between 1 and 2, and also an additional 10K for the feedback resistor in the 3rd stage. Coming out, there's a 100 nanofarad cap on the output going to a 100K audio pot to adjust the signal level output. Now, I found that the signal coming out of this Saxy, even before it hit its built-in 386 amp chip to drive the speaker, or trying to tap off the headphone jack, no matter what I did, I mean, it's a low sampling, low bit rate device. It's not hi-fi at all, and that's the one kind of major disappointment. So what I found was trying to adapt the circuit level for the input of the final stage, which is a resonant filter. If I use passive method, a resistance or a pot, it just sounded really dirty and muddy, I should say. Going up with it in volume, it was kind of overdriven sounded. So I ended up trying a Radio Shack 1000-to-1 ratio audio transformer. It's like the $3 Radio Shack audio transformer, and that seemed to really help out to keep the signal clean, but also lower it down a bit to avoid distortion. So here we have the guts of the Saxy Kazoo synthesizer. Normally the unit runs off of 4 AA batteries or 6 volts. I've got it running off of a power brick that I threw together. You can see the main brains are gooped with some sort of epoxy. Now don't you love it when they do that? There's the built-in amp chip. Speaker output ports are over here. Here's the headphone jack assembly. Now, you know, I probably could do a full pin out on this and remove this, but I'm going to take the easy way out and mount it with some standoffs. Mount this on the sidewalls inside the main chassis. I'm going to have to pin all this out, which means you keep hitting these buttons until you find out where they connect, and then run wires up to connect to the switches, because I have to duplicate every one of these buttons. I gotta have my rhythm tracks, and basically over here we've got, this is where the stock microphone used to connect. Let's take a look here. This is, I believe it's some sort of a condenser microphone, because when you put your meter on here, you'll find there's 5 volts going up here. Now, you don't want any unnecessary voltage going up to your front end that you made, or whatever you're going to be monkeying in here. You don't want that 5 volts. So what you do is you use what would be called a DC blocking capacitor, DC blocking cap. Now, I chose a 0.1 microfarad capacitor. It's a 104. I used a non-polarized, a greenie, a Mylar. And I chose to put that in on the ground side. Don't think it really matters, but the important part is I don't have 5 volts slamming into the output of my fancy new front end. Now, one of the issues that I have, and I'm just absolutely terrified, is there's a nag feature on here. If you don't hit any of the buttons, or if no audio passes through the circuit for a set amount of time, like, you know, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, there's a little nag notice, and it does this near eat through the speaker. And so if I'm not playing anything, it's, you know, near eat. So I found with the with the Hannah Montana guitars, I get these for 99 cents, and I know you can laugh at me all you want. They're PT 23.99 Echo chip in there, so for like $3 total, you know, $2 for 2 pots, you can cut the stock resistors out, chop some pots in there, and you got a little lo-fi analog delay, like a little Echoplex simulator. You know, maximum delay times, like you get it up close to a second before it bottoms out. Anything after 500 is a little poopy sounding, but for $1, and man, I'll tell you what, pristine digital delays, they went out with the Spin Doctors. You got to have a nice, you know, filthy sounding, trebly Pink Floyd style Echo box nowadays. So hopefully with those Hannah Montanas, you know, what I'll do is I'll find one of the buttons that doesn't really do much when you power it up, and I'll hard short it with a piece of wire, and that ends that nagger. So I'm going to end up trying that with this. So if you aren't an atheist and you believe in God, please start praying for me right now. Until the next video is up, put me on your intercession list. If you are an atheist, throw some clover leaves my way, or, you know, go to the casino and shake a lucky number 7 out onto the craft table for me, because I'm going to need some kind of mojo working here to not blow this thing up. This probably will be the last video for the Saxy when this epoxy Mount Vesuvius style blows the lid off of it here, and you see me curled up in the fetal position on the floor for the next 12 videos.